What's going on, YouTube? And welcome to the Digimon Laboratory. Today, we're going to show you a purple deck list that took first place at a 21-man tournament over the weekend, going an astonishing 5-0. First of all, I'd like to go ahead and give a shout out to Rocky Mountain Collectibles, our gaming store, for hosting this Digimon tournament. And secondly, if you can go ahead and drop a like, comment, subscribe, I would surely appreciate it. Now, let's get to the deck profile. This deck actually went up against a few very powerhouse decks right now in the format. Um, Round one was a purple mirror match. Round two and three were red Omnimon decks. Round four was a Rookie Rush deck that recently topped a PPG not too long ago. And round five in the finals was against Shine Greymon. The deck did very, very well. A couple of things I probably would change about the deck, but we'll go ahead and get into that after the deck profile. Let's start off with the DigiEggs. Just the one Pokemon. And the also standard Digimeramon. Digimeramon really, really came in clutch, especially with how fast this deck is, to where you can easily get 10 to 12 cards in trash by turn 3, about 80% of the time. Turn 4, almost 100% of the time. This card really, really is one of the catalysts for that. Let's go ahead and start off with the level 3s. We have the 4 Goblimons. Goblimon's inherit is too good when the Digimon above it would be deleted. Draw 2 cards and trash 1, and then combine with Demi Meramon, you draw 1 and trash 1. For anyone who's played Yu-Gi-Oh, these 2 cards together underneath any level 4 or champion Digimon is a automatic grace for charity. You have your vanilla Demi Devilmons, just a cheap way to go ahead and digivolve up into your evolutionary line. It was kind of split. I kind of changed at the very last minute, and I'll explain as I get to the level 6s. But I'll play 2 Impmons just that, if I have to rush and I also need to trash at the same time, I have an option. With the Meramon, it goes ahead and, build the top 3, draw 1, trash 1. So it's 4 cards, and then with the 2 that's destroyed, with 2 that's trash, it's 6 in your trash just from 1 attack. I played 2 Tapermon. I found myself bricking with Tapermon a lot more than I really would like to. I actually feel like with the build that I have, Tapermon actually is a mid to late game type of card to constantly keep me in the game if I can't Digivolve. So I went ahead and cut it from 4 to 2. And in exchange, I actually put in a good tech, the Gazimon. So Gazimon is very good against blue decks, Rookie Rush, some new green builds that like to go ahead and gain memory while doing different things. Unless it's a tamer, this says no. 100% unless it is a tamer, this card says no. I did not go up against any blue decks, but this card actually did help me against Rookie Rush. It actually helped stall him. He had 2 Hammer Sparks in hand until I went ahead and started pushing for game. He was actually able to get this off the field and use his Hammer Sparks to continue. But this card right here is good, and it just may be good for purple going into the future. All right, that's it for the level 3s. Standard 14. Let's go ahead and get into the level 4s. We have, of course, standard Meramon. Meramon, 1 cost evolution. Just need a cheap way to go up into my level 5 and 6s. This card put in a lot of work, especially against Shine Greymon and Red Omnimon. When it would attack or, try attacking talking about security, I use a blocker. They have a Digimon to suspend it. I always either raise or I'm able to keep a level 3 on board, digivolve into the Devilmon, and just attack and kill any threat that was on board. Um, my opponent could not even summon Omnimon in either one of my matches in round 2 or 3 because of this card. This card is too good, and also another card that goes with this, which everybody should be playing in purple. Then I run the standard 4 blockers. This card actually is, it's an absolute. You actually have to 1000% run the 4 blockers up in here. This helps you from not dying against Rookie Rush or any deck that wants to rush you. It is very standard. I thought about taking this down to 2. I'm glad I didn't. Rookie Rush actually pushed me to have 3 on board in order for me to win my game 3 against it. So being at 4 wasn't that bad of an idea. Standard 12 for the level 4s. Level 5s are a little different. I play 2 of the Chimeramons. I see a lot of people play 3 of these. I see a lot of people only play 1. I think 2 is perfect. Having these in your hand or even drawing into these when you can, white boards or establish board dominance is ideally perfect. For anyone who doesn't play purple, having this on board and just playing it for the 7, most likely 99% of the time would give it to your opponent, but it ends up disrupting your opponent's board and anything they may have, especially if they have no Digimon in the nursery to go ahead and Digivolve up into or to raise the next turn. Of course, next we have my oldest mon. Just a cheap Digivolution 5-drop. I actually hard casted this a couple of times. Paying that 6, especially early game, turn 1, 2, maybe even turn 3 for a level 5 is actually not bad at all. A lot of level 5s are 7s or 8s, and having the 6 and just being able to drop it and being able to establish your board very, very easily, which next turn you then come out with Digimon out of the nursery perhaps, giving you 2, 3, even possibly 4 bodies on board the first few turns to establish a dominant board is absolutely fantastic. 7,000 DP is not anything to scarf at either. And then, in my opinion, second best card in the deck, Lady Devilmon. When you Digimon into Lady Devilmon, you draw a card for Digivolution, but then you also draw 2 and trash 2. So just Digivolving into this card would give you another, Yu-Gi-Oh term, Grace for Charity. This card is freaking amazing. This is probably one of the better cards that Purple has ever received out of 1.5. And in my opinion, it's probably top 5 best Purple card that have ever released to this day. And it has an inherent skill to where when you play a option card, you get to delete, once per turn, you get to delete a level 3 Digimon on your opponent's side of the field as an inherit. So just having this card makes removal so much better. I play 4 of these. Usually if I Digivolve twice into this card, I pretty much won about 99% of the time. But just getting to this card is probably a very, very key step right now in most purple decks. So for the level 5s, we have 9 level 5s in this case. I don't think I would have changed any of them. I wouldn't increase. I wouldn't decrease. I kind of like the ratios exactly how they are. For the obligatory 6, I only play 4. So I play the 2 Metal Garurumons, which Metal Garurumon, it says when you're attacking, you actually play a level 3 Digimon out your trash for free, but its on play abilities are negated. Most purple as of right now, as a 1.5, do not have an on play ability, but it's very, very good for, say, you're attacking and your opponent goes ahead and they're playing Rookie Rush. you're attacking to their security or you're attacking to one of their Digimon, and you bring a Gazimon out to go ahead and make sure that they don't go ahead and gain any more memory with Hammer Sparks or anything with that matter. It actually is a very, very good card. This card is to help you establish a lot of rogue matchups that you may not necessarily have a good matchup against, but it helps you keep board presence. Even if this card dies while checking security, to say it hits like an Omnimon or a Millenniumon, you still get the board presence on top of this. And that's what this card is actually good. The queen herself, Lilithmon. Lilithmon is actually the backbone of this entire deck right here. If you don't know what Lilithmon does, Lilithmon says when Digivolving, if you have 10 or more cards in your trash, you take 2 option cards and you put them back into your hand. And then during your turn, once per turn, if you play an option card, you gain 2 memory. So basically, it reduces the cost of any option card that you choose to on your turn by 2. So it makes stuff like, and we'll get into it, it makes stuff like Night Ray free. It makes stuff like Trump Sword, a 5 cost rather than a 7. So you can really play around with your opponent's memory gauge and how much memory you actually give them. A very, very crazy matchup, especially against Rookie Rush, was Lady Devilmon underneath Lilithmon. So if I went ahead and say Trump Sword a Gorillamon, Lady Devilmon would then turn around and destroy a level 3 Digimon like a Vmon. And this was a very, very good card when it came to the Rookie Rush matchup. I wouldn't have won the Rookie Rush matchups if it wasn't for these cards in combination whatsoever. As far as the ratios when it comes to the sixes, I might bump Lilithmon up to 3, but having the 2/2 was actually better than I thought. It cost my hand a lot less. It hit security a lot less. The deck is so turbocharged that every time I destroy or every time I digivolve, draw 3, trash 2, draw 3, trash 2. It's one of those things to where it just speeds through the entire deck so freaking well. And then we have 2 level 7s. Millenniumon. I honestly only played Millenniumon against one of the red Omnimons that I was going up against. I believe it was round 3. Besides that, Millenniumon was, I wouldn't say a dead card, but it was a win more card in a lot of situations. If I couldn't go into Millenniumon, I just trashed it. It's one of those cards where it's good, especially if you need that removal of if they go against like a Ratnolorimon or a Red Omnimon decks or any decks that like to build up big old gigantic boss monsters. This is amazing removal, and with the inherent ability to bring itself back if you digivolve or if you have a level 6 underneath it, is amazing. And especially it just says on deletion and not really by deletion of your opponent. So you can do some crazy combos with this and destroying this with something else and then bringing this back, be able to actually attack with it. It is actually a very, very great card if you get off. It is worthy of its level 7 status. I just really didn't go into a lot more like I really wanted to. Would I cut it? No. I wouldn't cut it. I wouldn't move it from 2 to 1. I think 2 is fine. I just think this is more situational and than a lot of other cards in the deck. But I definitely would not cut this. I would keep it at 2 until we get some better cards in BT4, BT5 that can probably replace this. Or maybe some level 6s that will actually replace Millenniumon just because of the consistency factor. But besides that, yeah, Millenniumon actually, it really just closed out games. It's more of a closer than anything else. You shouldn't be really dependent on this as much. Um, that's it for the Digimon. Now I do have 6 option cards. I kind of balanced it out. I only play the 2 Night Raids. Even though Night Raid is extremely good, having too many Night Raids when you don't have an established board can actually hurt more than help. 2 is fine, especially with Lilithmon being able to grab it back from the trash. 2 is perfectly fine. And when this gets hit off of my opponent's last attack or even second to last attack, it really puts a damper into my opponent. So it kind of puts him on a clock to where, okay, there's another Digimon on board. I'm pretty sure he or she has Digivolutions in hand to Digivolve into. So now either I have to rush and kill this board or hope they actually brick hard enough to where they can establish any great board or any answer to the board that I went ahead and established. This card came in really clutch, especially with Lilithmon. Just being able to get a Digimon out the trash for basically for free, and then being able to destroy one of my opponent's level 3 Digimon, it really is amazing. Double Heat Viper. I played this card so much. I was even thinking about bumping this card up to 3. This card is way better than a lot of people think, especially with the destruction speed heavy deck that I have now. This deck actually went very crazy, especially with this card. This card was great against Rookie Rush. This card was great again, and actually great in the mirror match. My opponent would actually, start dropping down blockers and Devilmons. I actually would just Heat Viper them and pass turn and establish dominance on their board to where they cannot do anything, and then build my board as I go. This card is amazing. It's crazy pluses, and then being able to just to get it back off of the security rather than just it being trash or it being activated when you don't want it to be activated. I think Heat Viper, in my opinion, is probably the best card in this deck. And it's, it would be blasphemy, but at the same time, Trump Sword is good, but Trump Sword cannot cover options that this can. And speaking of Trump Sword, I played 2 Trump Swords. Trump Sword is great. Trump Sword is Trump Sword. It's the purple version of Gaia Force. I mean, nothing can match up to Gaia Force, but this is a dang near close second. Just playing 2 so it doesn't clog. A lot of people like to play 3. I say if you playing 3, then you're going to be passing more than you're going to be building when it comes to your boards. So just being able to have the Lilithmon, I even came to a point to where I trashed one of each. 1 Heat Viper, 1 Trump Sword, 1 Night Raid, and then dropped the Lilithmon and just got back whatever I needed between these 3 options. I was thinking about playing, I believe it's Necrophobia, but I wasn't that dependent on the level 5s in order for me to play that card for me to really make it viable. Yes, it gives you board presence if it hit off of security, but that's too big of a risk in my personal opinion right now to play. I'll be testing it, in BT4 when we get Pluto Mine and Anubis Mine, but till then, right now, I don't think it's really one of the better cards. And then just to round the deck off, 3 Max. No lie, I thought about playing this at 4, but I think 3 is perfectly fine. A lot of people don't know it's a memory tamer, and when we say memory tamer, it just basically resets your memory to 3 if it's below 3 when it passes your turn. So it helps your opponent from energy starving you. And then when it hit off of security, you just play it. But the on playability is really great. Against the I believe it was the Red Omnimon player. He hard casted Phoenix Mon. put me at 9. And I knew for a fact he was probably just going to Alta S me because my board was relatively weak. I had a Lay Devilmon, 2 Viomons, and I believe it was a Gabumon on board. And he hard casted the Phoenixmon with nothing else, and I knew he was going to Alta S me. So I went ahead and dropped the mat, and I went ahead and played the mat, even though I had another one on board. I played the mat, got the Trump Sword, and Trump Sworded the Phoenixmon. Even though I passed it over to his turn, now he still doesn't have an established board. And then it forced him to go ahead and play War Greymon and pass turn again. And yet I had a third mat, so I dropped the third mat and did it all over again. And after that, he conceded. He really didn't have anything to establish. He showed me his hand afterwards. He had 2 Alta S's and 1 Omnimon in hand. So, yeah, that was actually a very good idea to play at 3. At 4, it would have been too cloggy. I would have saw a lot more than usual. It's one of them cards to where Matt's one of them cards to where it's all about make sure you establish your tempo rather than setting up your plays really. And that's about it for the deck list. I'll go ahead and I got a few other deck ideas. I'm gonna go ahead and cook up for you guys. I got a few videos coming as well, a few live duels. So go ahead and stay tuned, and I see you later, YouTube.